Welcome, MotoAmerica fans, to another episode of Off Track with Carruthers and Bice. I'm joined, as always, by Sean Bice, who's sitting down below me there. And our special guest today is Cameron Petersen. Cameron's got some pretty cool stuff going on for next year, and I think change is sometimes good. And I think in this case, I think it's probably really good for you, Cameron. You've been with the Yamaha team for a while now. You've had good years. You've had some ups and downs, and now you get a fresh start riding in a new class, Supersport, and with a new motorcycle, the Ducati Panigale V2. New team, new everything, new teammate, and you're off and running. So tell us a little bit about the program for next year, and that's how we'll get this thing rolling.
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me on, guys. Pumped to be having this conversation with you. But yeah, you know, the the whole Yamaha sort of situation happened, and it is what it is. I was a little bit bummed hearing the news. When Tom phoned me and told me the news, I was a little bit bummed, just because my injuries kind of plagued my seasons with Yamaha and like actually stopped me having a real shot at the championship. So I just felt like there was some unfinished business kind of left there. But yeah, like you said, Paul, kind of everything happens for a reason, and yeah, here we are sitting with the Ducati hat on my head, and yeah, one thing just led to the next. You know, we try to stay on the superbike grid as much as possible, but unfortunately, just a lot of teams are kind of going to one rider or backing out of the series. So yeah, we were just kind of left with nothing. Super stressful, and then lucky enough, Bobby and Celtic and Barry and everybody kind of decided to put this program together. And as soon as I heard that this was going to be the program, I yeah, phoned Zemke and told him that this is kind of what I wanted to do. And yeah, I think it's just a good step for my career where I am at right now, and just with my injuries and coming back from injuries, I think it's the first time in my career that I'm close to 100%. So just looking forward to having a fun season on a new bike, new team. Yeah, should be good. Should be good.
Now, how early or late did you find out? Because it seems to me like I guess the last round, you'd flip a switch and you were super positive and everything's going to be great. And I didn't know at that point how much
Right.
had taken place and how much had, on both ends. When did all that come together, or when did you find out that you were no longer going to be back with that team?
Yeah, I mean, I found out maybe a month, maybe a little bit more after the last race. And yeah, it was just one of the situations, even when Tom phoned me, he kind of let me know the situation, and he fought for me with everything he had. He kind of saw what I was capable of, and wanted me to stay in the team. But unfortunately, other voices were heard, and they all came to an agreement to go our separate ways. And it's as upset as I was about the whole situation. I try and look at the positive side of things, and yeah, the towards the end of the season last year with Yamaha, things weren't good. The bike wasn't great. That's for sure. We had Chavi come on the bike and kind of just said the exact same things that we were struggling with. And so going into this year, who knows what's going to happen? And yeah, I felt like trying to find a team that's the pinnacle of the series, trying to find a bike that's capable of winning, and just trying to go have fun. And you know Bobby, Josh, Barry, all those guys over at Ducati, every time talk to those guys, it's just one big family, and it seems like they're all having fun. And the people they have under that tent are all so clever, clued up, and got a bunch of experience. So yeah, I just felt like it was the best fit for me. And yeah, Ducati's it is the pinnacle of racing. It's something that I've always want to be involved with. And throughout this year, I'm going to be working extremely hard to try get my bum on the superbike for 26. Hopefully they have two bikes, and that's the goal. So, that was kind of a lot of the thought behind it, and a lot of the decision making was what's best for my future, 2, 3 years down the line. Because I honestly believe I've still got a few years under my belt where I can be competitive and go win championships even at the superbike level. So yeah, it just seemed like everything kind of fell into place, and yeah, that was the best fit for me.
Man, I'll tell you, I got a lot of things to unpack here, Cameron, but the first thing I want to ask you about, there's a bunch. But listen, you can choose to answer this however you want or not answer. But at the end of the year, and Paul alluded to it, I think you kind of said, I'm pretty sure you said to me, you've got some options. And you don't have to tell us what the options are, but did you have some options beyond this one option?
At first, yes, I was talking to a bunch of people. Just with the way the second half of the season had went, and the way things were going, I'd kind of had second thoughts already about sticking around. So I did. I went and shopped, and I spoke to a bunch of people, and there was a lot of positive conversations that I had. But it just seems like everybody's hurting at the moment in terms of financial support. So yeah, unfortunately, just a lot of those conversations I had just didn't really materialize into anything. But um, I did have some second thoughts, and I for sure was shopping around towards the end of the season just to see what was out there, because all those other teams and everybody are starting to catch up, and I know a lot of the other manufacturers are. I mean, all they're doing is developing new parts for these bikes, and yeah, there was just a certain point there where I figured that maybe going somewhere else might be the best option for me.
Do you, based on the issues you've had health wise, do they make you like prove like that you're healthy, or do they just take your word for it? I mean, when you tell them like, look, guys, I'm fine, or do they say, oh no, we want you to go get checked out?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't blame anybody if they had me go do a fitness test or anything. But a lot of people don't realize is a lot of my issues throughout the year. So I tore my meniscus right before Laguna, um, and try to play that off, try to work out, try to go through the whole process like I normally do. And my knee got so bad to a point where I had to take some ibuprofen or something just to be able to go work out, just to be able to ride or do anything. And unfortunately, it ate a big hole in my stomach, and I got a stomach ulcer. So, it was just one thing after the next. And then, but the stomach ulcer really, really affected me. I couldn't eat. I couldn't really do anything. It was one of the worst feelings I ever had. But and that just comes down to, again, it's all plagued by my injuries that I've had, and super super unfortunate. Even my wrist injury, I go back to that, and that was something that was completely out of my control. It was an experimental part put on the motorcycle that failed as I rode out the pits, and almost put an end to my career. So it's certain stuff like that I still kind of look back on, and I think that's why I'm still pretty upset about the situation, because yeah, I just didn't get a fair shot at it. So, but yeah, I don't blame people if they want me to go do a fitness test right now. But I went and did some testing a few months, about 2 months ago, a month and a half ago, and I felt perfect, felt 100%. Yeah, I'm back on the program, back training. So I think this is the first time in the last 10 years that I've actually felt this good. Um, so yeah, pumped, excited.
So no more throwing up in the helmet.
No
Throwing
more
up.
throwing
Yeah.
up in the helmet. No more,
That's
and let me tell you, no more painkillers for the rest of my life.
what is that
That's
throwing
crazy.
the throwing up in the helmet? That's horrendous. Like,
Yeah,
Horrendous.
yeah,
I mean, are you just sitting there going, "Oh God, here,
yeah.
did you pull over? Or are you still going?"
No,
Explain that.
like mid Ohio, you know. So mid Ohio, I had the big crash on Thursday, jacked my ankle up, and um that was kind of the beginning of it when they were injecting a local anesthetic and everything for me to try get out there and race. And that's when my stomach issues started, was that weekend. Um, and I remember doing like 3 laps and having to pull over and throw up on the side of the track. And I ended up sitting out the first race because I hit my head pretty hard and there was a whole bunch of stuff. And then race two, I remember there was like 5 laps to go and I threw up in my helmet. You know, I still wanted to get points because I was still pretty close in the points at that point. Um, and yeah, for the last 5 laps, I was throwing up in my helmet and I couldn't see where I was going. I had throw up all in my visor,
Oh,
but yeah, just everything I could to try finish. So it was just miserable, you know, like every time I got on the motorcycle, knowing what was coming, knowing I was going to feel that way, I didn't want to be there, you know. It was
I can,
just,
it's
there was
understandable.
nothing was fun about it. Um, and then, yeah, unfortunately, just dealing with a bike that wasn't really all there at the point, you know. Yeah, it was the second half of the season was tough.
I wouldn't want to be your visor guy.
yeah.
I felt so sorry for all the guys. You know, Edie and Rob, all those guys. They were cleaning up throw up off my bike every session. I
Oh my
felt so bad.
gosh.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, Cameron, I don't know if you'll remember this, but I came into the lounge at Mid Ohio and I talked to you because that's when you told me you had torn your meniscus. And I wrote that story about, you think like stick and ball players are tough. Hockey players will take a puck to the face, get a stitch, and go out and play again. You were riding on a torn meniscus. I didn't say anything in that story, and you didn't mention you had an ulcer. I don't know if you knew it at that time, but I thought it was symptoms of a concussion, and I wasn't going to write anything about that. But I knew that well, I didn't know that situation. Definitely, I thought it was stress or something. I had no idea. So that was compounded on top of the fact that you had all those other issues, your arm and your leg. You also had GI tract issues. So
Yeah.
that's incredible.
Yeah. No, and honestly, that's the thing that held me back the most was my stomach. You know, the meniscus got to a point where, yeah, it affected me on the motorcycle, but I could grip my teeth and go through it. But the stomach was just couldn't control it. Couldn't control it. But you know, you live and you learn. And I've never been one. My dad, you know, I've learned through my dad, all my surgeries, everything I've ever done. I've never taken painkillers, and you know, unfortunately, I knew that this was contract year and I had to try finish the season strong. So I just did everything I could to try ride and train, maintain my fitness, and yeah, I just ate my stomach.
I didn't realize that part. So here's something I want to understand, and I didn't know this, except I knew that you were at the end of your contract. So you won races. You and Jake were both walking wounded. He's won championships for them. I get it. He was having a tough time and actually didn't complete the season. Did he have another year on his contract? Why was it him and not you? I really want to understand that.
Well, Jake was the champ, you know.
Okay.
There's no way they were going to do that. So when they renewed our contracts, they renewed them at the same time. I was coming off of my wrist injury, so they weren't sure where I was going to be at, if I was going to be able to race or not. So, you know, they extended my contract by 1 year instead of the two. And it had an auto renewal if I finished top three in the championship, but you know,
Oh.
unfortunately that didn't happen.
But Jake got the extra year. He had another
Yes.
year to go.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. No,
was it
I'm
was it
like,
even it must have been kind of even harder with Jake's problems too, right? I mean, ordinarily you could not coast through, but you could like feel a little bit more chill about getting healthy. But then you've got the guy from the team and he's got issues that are keeping him well back. So it kind of falls on you to like if they're going to get results, they're going to come from you.
yeah, yeah. And honestly, when that was happening, like I felt good about it, you know. Laguna, all those first few rounds, Jake was having his issues, and I had to go do what I did. I was having so much fun. I was competing. I was at the front. Good things were happening, and then I don't know what changed for the last 3 races. You know, we went to tracks that all had new surfaces, so we had to run the hard tires, and we just couldn't figure it out. You
Hmm.
know, everybody that jumped on the bike said the same thing, and we just couldn't figure it out. And you know, I think that for whatever reason, who knows what it is? There's so many variables that could do, but the only thing that I could think about was that we had to run the harder tires. That's the only thing that changed, because before that we had no issues. We could run pace. We were going quicker than what we had years before, and then after that, we just couldn't turn the bike. There was just certain things that the bike wasn't doing that. I'd follow guys in front of me, like Richie, the Suzuki's, almost everybody would be middle way through the corner and they're just riding away from me and I'm trying, but couldn't get the bike to turn. So it's just certain stuff like that that was just a little bit confusing towards the end of the season. And yeah, I mean,
So
it's unfortunate the way things happen, but
it's not a case of, I mean, there's some people that have said that motorcycle's built around Jake Gagne. That's
no,
not the case.
no, that's not
Yeah,
the
because
case. Like,
I
and
mean, you had good
that's one
results on it as
thing, like,
well.
yeah, I see all those people saying that, the equipment isn't the same under that tent. It is identical to what Jake has. So yes, there were certain points where Jake would come in from a session and say, "Hey, that was better," and they would throw it on my bike, and it's kind of like, well, we do ride a lot different. So there were certain stuff that yes, they threw on the bike that just because JG liked it and he thought it was better. Um, but I still don't think that hurt me. Because one of the tough things as well was, Richard, he did a lot of stuff to the bike last year for 24. Um, and we were kind of always chasing our tail. Almost every track we went to in between sessions, we had so much adjustment with the motorcycle that we were always kind of chasing the setup and never getting used to one setup. So we were always riding a different motorcycle, and yeah, just I think that kind of hurt us in the end.
I want to ask you about something, Cameron. So this is interesting. I've talked to Garrett Gerloff about this. Every rider faces a lot of adversity. There's no doubt about it. I mean, some more than others. It's obvious. Even back when Garrett was racing in MotoAmerica, I had conversations with him about this, and then he went into World Superbike, and he faced a lot of crazy adversity. And I used to say to him, and I know he's got a lot of faith, religious faith. So I would always say to him, "Do you feel like you're being tested?" And he would say, "Absolutely." And I'm not going to necessarily go there with you, but my gosh, you have faced so much adversity. I mean, being on a couch, finding out as a Christmas present that you're going to be riding the next year. I mean, all the injuries you've had. Call it karma or whatever, but does that occur to you like, why me? Why am I being tested so much? And I think the outcome is it's making you a stronger guy. I don't
Yeah,
know. What do you
yeah,
think?
yeah. I find myself asking myself that question a few times. Why me? Why is this happening to me? But yeah, I mean, I think this is all happening to me because I can take it and I can deal with it, and 100% it's shaping the person who I am and who I want to be, and everything happens for a reason. I truly do believe that, whether it's for the better or for the good. I think everything happens for a reason, and yeah, I mean, look where we are today, sitting in this position. I think all of these events led up to this for me to be in this position. So it's tough. Yeah, there's times where, man, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Why is this happening to me? You know, there's so many days that I've thought I don't want to be hurt anymore. I'm sick and tired of being in pain. I don't want to do this anymore. But that's just not built in me. There's no quit. You have to keep going, and like you said, Sean, it makes you a better person, makes you a stronger person. If you go through life and everything's plain sailing, when the hardships come, you have no idea what to do. So no, I'm grateful for everything that's happened. I do wish timing was maybe a little bit different,
Right.
but yeah, it is what it is, and just still so grateful to be in this position, still racing motorcycles for a living. It's pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's fast forward a little bit to the new deal in Supersport. One question somebody had for me the other day, I don't know who it is, but they said, is he going to be, is he okay throwing down on Matthew Skoltz, his buddy? And my answer is, oh, I think they both know what they have to do and they come first, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Me and Maddie grew up racing together. We did this back on 600s in South Africa. So yeah, it's going to be an exciting year with me and Maddie. We raced against each other for 3 years hard on a superbike, and there was some races in New Jersey where I think we passed each other 15 times in the race, didn't touch each other once. So there's big respect between me and Maddie. Yeah, we're gonna race hard, every man for himself, but you got to separate that stuff on track, off the track, and I think we do a pretty good job at that.
So you wouldn't treat him any different than PJ?
No, 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 no. It's all the same. And every man for himself. Once that visor goes down, yeah, that the outside world doesn't exist.
Well,
It's,
I want to
Go ahead,
go
Sean.
ahead. I was going to bring up the PJ thing. I got a little story to tell you before I do that. I mean, listen, you did the same thing with Jake Gagne, your boy on the same team. I know teammates are a little bit different, but he's the first guy you want to beat. So it's the same thing, isn't it? Jake or Matthew or PJ, you want to beat all those guys.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, there's going to be all the Rahal guys and then me. So, my goal is to obviously win races, number one. But if that's not the case, to be the first Ducati every race, So yeah, that's the goal. No, it's going to be. Honestly, I'm so excited. The Supersport class is going to be stacked. It's going to be some great racing. Yeah, I'm pumped. I think it's going to be a good time.
Now here's what I want to bring up, and thanks for not taking the words out of my mouth yet on this. So a couple weeks ago, I called PJ Jacobson because we knew what was up. And PJ, I talked to him a little bit about it, and he goes, why? What's the rumor you're hearing? What are you hearing? And I told him, he goes, I said, come on, it's Barry Gilsonen. He's your mentor from when you were a little kid, PJ.
Right.
I said, you are going to be racing against your guy. Essentially, and obviously it's Cam Petersen. I said, and he said, well, I don't know, maybe that's the rumor. I don't know. Okay, so it's out there. He already knew it. But I mean, it's got to be weird for Barry. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Barry goes way back. He worked with Chaz and all these guys. How well do you know Barry Gilsonen?
I don't know Barry very well, but one thing I can say, it can be done. My dad crew chiefed for Bobby Fong while I was racing against it, so it can be done. Like I said, you have to be able to separate that stuff at the racetrack, But yeah, if anything, I think it's just going to be good, hard racing because yes, we are all connected in some way through friendships or what. So I think it's going to be good, hard racing, and I think it's going to make it a lot of fun. I don't think the drama is going to be there, which I know a lot of you people love, but I don't think the drama is going to be there, and I think it's going to be good, solid, hard racing all year with a lot of respect between us.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize you're actually every lap of every race, everybody's fighting for their jobs.
Exactly.
I mean, no one has 10-year contracts or 5-year contracts, or mostly don't even have 2-year contracts. So it's that's got to be the first thing that crosses your mind is like, I got to save my job.
Exactly. Yeah, and if you're not looking after yourself, then yeah, you're not going to find yourself a ride. So,
have you ever ridden a Ducati?
Haven't.
And you still haven't ridden this one yet, right?
No, I haven't. I think the last time I sat on a Ducati, I was 3 or 4 years old in Zimbabwe on my uncle's bike. Actually, there's a pretty crazy story with the Petersens and Ducati back in South Africa. So it's I'll have to find out a little bit more about that story, but maybe that's something we could do in the future. But yeah, the Petersens are pretty connected with Ducati from the OG days in South Africa when Ducati were making a run at it, and my uncle Keith was one of the first people to win on one. So yeah,
cool.
there's a little bit of history with Ducati. So I'm just so pumped to be involved with the company. We went to Anaheim Supercross and I met Paolo and Jay Root and got to meet all the guys, and it's just a family, everybody's so damn nice, and yeah, I'm pumped to be a part of the company.
Yeah, it's cool. And I mean, you think about Josh Herrin, I mean, obviously he rode Yamahas for a long time, and man, he adapted so well to Ducatis on both of them, the V4R, but the V2 before that. So it's going to work okay.
Yeah.
And it's funny you mentioned about your dad, and I'm sure you were thrilled when he was winning races with Bobby last year. And I know you're close to Bobby, even though Bobby essentially replaced you on that team.
I know
And
my dad helped him take my ride. What the hell?
I
I'm
heard
joking, Dad. I'm joking.
I heard your dad, and probably Paul heard this too. Your dad was in high demand. A lot of teams wanted him last year.
Yeah.
And I think we can say, because Paul did a story with Hayden Gillum, that he's going to be on that team. I don't know if he's working directly with Hayden, but he's going to be working on that Honda and Superbike. So he landed in a good spot too. And he's another one, Cameron. He's just like you. He's faced so much adversity. He's come out the better for it. And there's no better man on this earth than your dad, except maybe you. But I think you guys are like the same person.
Yeah.
So
No,
It's
I
a
appreciate
family.
you-
It's
I
a family
appreciate
of
you saying that.
scrappers.
No, I appreciate you saying that, because honestly, like, my dad is my hero.
Yeah, mine
You
too.
know, everything I see him do, I don't think there's a harder working person in the paddock or in this world. He's always on it, and obviously he's my dad, but if I could work with anybody, I would choose my dad. I honestly believe he is that good, and you know, at the ranch, it definitely was a team thing. Nick, incredibly smart, um, super cool guy, and I just think my dad being there, my dad and Nick, and just what they did with the team, and and obviously Bobby's an incredible rider. He belongs at the front, but yeah, after that season, my dad had all kinds of phone calls from almost everybody in the paddock, and it's so happy for me. Like, it's nice for me to see him kind of get that recognition, because he is that good. He really is.
And
Yeah.
like you, he's spent some time on people's floors,
Yes.
Yes, he has.
and
Yeah.
as Sean said, I mean, if he's not the nicest guy in the paddock, he's on the podium.
Yeah, yeah, and exactly, Paul. I mean, just the fact that he's got a roof over his head, he doesn't have to worry about anything anymore. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
can take a bit
Yeah.
of a breath. And he deserves it. He
Yeah.
deserves all the success in the world. So, yeah, I just wish he was in my corner.
Yeah.
One
I mean,
day.
that's got to be so good for your mom, your sister. I mean, all you guys, though, that you guys are both in a good place. I want to ask you a little bit about your teammate regarding for a specific reason. I met Riston Grigg last year. I know him a little bit. So he was on a Graves bike. So he worked with one of our favorite people, and I say all of us, Chris Lessing. We love that guy. Of course, your dad is Rhodesian. Are you Rhodesian, Zimbabwean?
I am,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yeah.
But you lived in South Africa, where Chris is from. Might we have Chris Lessing working with you guys, or is he going to still stick to the Graves thing and handle that?
Not, I haven't heard. I haven't heard on that side of things. I mean, that would be awesome, because Chris is, as a suspension tech and all of that, Chris is one of the guys. But yeah, I do have some exciting guys working with me. Somebody pretty high up from the Yamaha teams coming over.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, no, there's a good group of guys under that tent. Yeah, it's going to be a solid program.
You just got to make sure you have one guy that's got the red pants, though,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that's the guy from Italy.
Yep. Yeah. So, yeah, I think the way the whole deal's structured and everything, I think we might have a full red suit in our canopy, which is
That'd be
yeah,
cool.
it's massive. Yeah, it's massive.
Yeah, that's really good that you've got that connection to Corsa, Ducati Corsa, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to ask you about, I've talked about this a little bit in stories, but also to other people. So we know that MotoGP is going to go to a smaller displacement coming up here, and the thought is that maybe World Superbike, because they may not be leader bikes, because MotoGP doesn't want World Superbike to have faster bikes or bigger displacement bikes. So I'm beginning to wonder if Supersport is in fact going to be the class for World Superbike. Supersport's getting a lot of attention with next generation bikes that were formerly superbikes like the GSXR or a 955 Ducati are now considered middleweight Supersport next generation bikes. Do you think that at some point maybe Supersport is going to be the premier class?
I have heard a lot of those rumors going around. And definitely the whole next gen thing kind of changed the whole look on the super sport class. I mean, who know? I know back in the day that's the way it was. Most of the national championships around the world were all done. The super sport class was the premier class. I don't know. I just don't see them. I don't know if that will be the case, because I think it all just depends on what happens in the World Championship, and then everybody else will kind of follow. One thing I do know is that worldwide, I don't think they're selling big leader bikes. I don't think
Right.
people are going to races and watching Top Rack win on a BMW or somebody in a Yamaha and going to the dealership next day buying one of those things. Where, I think more people are buying 600s. Even with the bagger thing, like, I can see how people would watch an Indian win a race and then want to go buy one.
Right.
Where I just don't think that's happening with the leader bikes and the sport bikes. But I don't know, in terms of cost, in terms of getting teams involved, I think it would be a pretty big success if they did decide to go to that. Who knows, man? Who
Yeah.
knows? I've definitely heard the rumor going around, but I just don't see them getting rid of the big bikes.
But it's weird. It's so weird that the only place you can buy an R1 for the street this year is Yamaha US, a US dealer. They're track only bikes elsewhere in the world. I think pretty much every other country. I know for sure in Europe, but and I know BMW is still selling it. I'm not trying to disparage them. I mean, hell, they could come up with a smaller displacement bike that comes, sleeve it down or whatever. They could figure it out.
Exactly. Yeah.
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 So, I mean, it just makes me wonder, if MotoGP does rule the world and says, okay, we don't want, these hair on fire 1,000cc leader bikes to outshadow our smaller displacement bikes. And they wouldn't anyway. I understand
Yeah.
that. Those MotoGP bikes might be smaller in
Well, I mean,
displacement, but they're going to
there's
be
some
badass.
tests that they go to that are combined where the super bikes are pretty damn close to their lap
Yeah.
times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. You're right there. But no, I think it's a good place for you. And I mean, just the level of competition is crazy. I mean, it's
Yeah.
unbelievable. And you got some of these younger riders that are moving up. I mean, we expect that Tyler Scott's going to kind of, figure out his way a little bit better this year. And, those Suzukis are
Blake.
strong. Yeah,
I mean,
yes.
all of them. Corey, Kayla's going to be quick. I mean, it's going to be stacked. It's going to be fun. Yeah, it should be good.
Does
Yeah.
does your deal include Daytona?
Unfortunately, no Daytona. I will be at Daytona for other reasons. Hopefully, we can talk about that soon. But I don't think I'll be there on the super sport bike.
Okay, so no 200.
No 200. No 200. I know Josh is doing it. Well, I think Josh is doing it.
PJ and Kayla and Corey, I assume, are for sure. I know PJ is. He
Yeah,
said that. So
I would love to be able to do it. I'm just not sure if it's within the team's
yes.
budget to get everybody there and all that stuff. So yeah, shit, I would love to do it. That bike's won it the last 2 times. So yeah.
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 Yeah. And Strack made their announcement and they're going to be on that R9, but as of now, they aren't looking to be doing the 200, but there's a question about whether anybody will be on that R9. And I keep wondering because Yamaha, you know how they are, having been in the family, Cameron,
Yep.
that's a new
Yep.
bike for them. They want to get it out there and in
Yeah.
the showcase. So
Yeah, I mean, I heard that Daytona was pretty much a have to. Like, no
Yeah.
questions asked, like go debut the bike and all of that. So
yeah. Yeah, we heard that too. Yeah. It's going to be interesting. I mean, I want to ask you about Josh Herron. You're one guy. I can't think about you. I mean, we know Bobby's had some dust ups and Josh has had some dust ups with some riders. I can't think of any time where you've ever had any issues with Josh Herron or vice versa. I don't remember that at all. Do you? Have you? What do you
No,
think?
I think throughout the years there might have been some times on tracks where we've got in each other's way on a cool down lap or something and just given a one of those. But no, man, it's a lot of effort to dislike people and hate people, and like I said, things on the racetrack, it's different. And I've got to hang out with Josh away from the racetrack, and great human being. And I get it. Things at the racetrack, things are different, and sometimes you have to put on sort of a different character to get into that frame of mind. So, everybody's different, but yeah, I, I don't know. I just want
I,
to love everybody and peace and happiness and yeah.
and I think Josh has made some big changes in his life, and I think there's a lot of maturity there. Don't get me wrong, he can be a 12-year-old like at the snap of your fingers, right? And be smacking your private parts or doing something that he thinks is funny. But I got the chance to spend a day with these guys playing golf, and yeah, I there's a different side to Josh, and I think that the golf actually helps him because you need to be mentally with it. And Cameron's a really good golfer, and Josh, you can tell, is just like all he wants to do right now is be a good golfer. So
Yeah, yeah,
he's playing like every day, and he's gotten a lot better. And but
yeah.
I think this year was a big year for him. I think he won that Superbike championship fair and square, and I
Fair and
think it
square.
kind of erased the fact that his first championship was a little bit different, let's say.
Fluky. Yeah,
Yeah, fluky, and he knows that. So it was kind of good to see him what he did. But
yeah,
I think you guys will be good together. You just gotta.
yeah.
I suggest wearing a cup all the time.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
and
I'm
and
just gonna
don't.
walk out. Just no, and
Yeah,
it's not, and that's why I'm pumped that me and Josh have started playing golf together and just getting to know him a lot better. But yeah, you're right, Paul. I think Josh's at home situation and his family and everything. I think he's just in such a good spot right now that yeah, all the other nonsense and drama, he just doesn't need it anymore. Um, and yeah, Josh is a good teammate to have and a good guy to have in your corner. He's very clever at marketing himself and all of that side of things, and that's something I need to be better at. So, I'm learning a lot from Josh, and I think it's going to be a fun year being under the same canopy as him, and yeah, it's we'll see what happens.
And it should help that he's ridden that bike, obviously, with a
yeah,
Yeah,
lot of success, and he can, you have somebody to question or whatever, and
yeah,
also he doesn't have to feel threatened because you're not on the same class, but he's going to be willing to help you as much as he can.
yeah, yeah. And I think it's going to be a great team dynamic. I think it's going to be good, and I think even at the first test, he might be riding one of the V2s as well, just to shake down and kind of get everything going. So yeah, it would be nice at the first test just to even have Josh on the bike that he's won the championship on, and just kind of see what the bike likes and what it doesn't like. So no, I think it's going to be good.
yeah. Cam, you probably already know this, but if Josh Heron comes up to you and wants to feed you some grapes, don't let him do it. You don't know where those grapes have been. You probably heard that story. That's ridiculous.
Hey,
Um,
I've seen the games and the pranks that these guys play on each other. So
it's
yeah,
so
I'm gonna have my
ridiculous.
head on a swivel.
Hey, I want to ask you about the V2 though. I actually don't know the answer to this. Is it the new V2 with the double-sided swing arm this year, or is it the old one? Do you know?
Not 100% sure, but I think it's going to be the old bike.
That's what I thought.
Not
Right.
100% sure, but I think it might be the old bike. I could be completely wrong. Um,
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's what Ray Hall's dealing with right now, and they may get it later, possibly, but
yeah,
yeah,
that's the situation. So yeah, I
yeah,
just don't think there's really anything available at the moment. I don't think it's even homologated just
that's
yet.
right.
So
That's right.
yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's happening there.
Yeah, and the V4R, I think, is even further behind that. I think that
Right.
team's racing the same superbike
Yeah. Yeah.
Heron will. Yeah.
Well, I
So,
mean, that's because if they did have that new bike, I think it was game over for everybody. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
What have you? So you have not ridden the bike. When is your first test? Where is it? Do you know?
First test would be the Podium Club test, the
Oh,
official
our
test.
test.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I think we got one more at New Jersey after that, and then we go racing.
Yeah, it's going to be quick. Hey, Cam Petersen, I know something about you that I don't know. I think some people know this.
Oh gosh.
You're a special human in a lot of ways. Do you have one less bone in your arm than most human beings?
Yeah, I've actually got a lot of stuff missing from I'm missing a finger,
Well, I knew the finger.
missing 4 bones in this wrist,
That's the one. Yeah.
missing a meniscus now, so that's been taken out. So we slowly, year by year, we're just shedding parts.
Getting lighter though.
Yeah, it's a good thing I'm on jumping on the 600 now. So
I mean, I broke my ring finger playing softball years ago, and the thing still ain't right, as they say.
Cut it off.
Yeah, you got bones missing. Do you have any limitations because of any of that?
no, I mean it's better than what it was. Obviously my range of motion and stuff isn't great, but um, it's as close to 100% as what it ever would have been. Before the surgery, from the first time I broke it in 2010, it's never felt this good. So no, I think everything's, knock on wood, everything's good now.
As long as it goes that way more than
That's
that
right.
way.
That's it. That's the only thing that matters, right?
Just position it over here.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I do have to ask you this question, and it's going to be with a little bit of a twinkle in my eye.
Oh
but
God.
Cam Petersen, are you going to have a left-hand rear brake lever on your Ducati?
I mean, I don't know. I hope not. I hope not. I mean, it'd be nice to have a foot lever for the rear brake.
I didn't know
Sean loves talking about that damn rear brake.
I mean, I didn't know if you've become acclimated to having it, though. I mean, and honestly, speaking of Garrett Gerloff, he's got one on his BMW this year. I know it's something that is used.
Well, it'd be nice to have both, and
Right, both.
not just the
One or the
not
other.
just the rear brake as a clutch. Yeah.
Yeah,
Difficult.
but if you had both, you'd be okay because you did
100%.
use that.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
That's
I
kind
mean,
of what I'm
like,
getting at.
and the thing is, I still never got used to that thing because so many. I feel like I just got better feel with my foot. So yeah, just having both would be nice.
Yeah, because you've been using your foot since you're like 3 years old doing it.
Yeah. And still, just something doesn't feel right about using your fingers to do it.
Right. It's a modulation thing. It's the feel is different. You can't
Yeah.
apply
And
the
there's
pressure.
there was certain stuff like going to left-handers, your body position would be a little bit different until you could release that brake. So like there were certain things that, yeah, it would have been nice to just have a foot rear brake in those situations.
And I'm guessing a guy that's ridden a lot of moto in his life and done, Danny Walker's camp, done flat track, done all that. You probably do use the rear brake a fair amount, probably almost as much as JD and Jake tend to, right?
Definitely not as much as those two, but
Oh.
I do like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like it. I mean, honestly, with the lever, I don't think I ever touched that thing, which it
Okay.
changed. Yeah, I just never had a good feeling. Never had a good feeling, and it kind of changed my body position. So definitely don't use it as much as JG, but I do like it. Yeah.
Where are you at with the concept of engine braking on the superbike and now on this other bike? I mean, I think there's probably going to be a lot of engine braking on that V2, a lot of compression. So, do you utilize that? Does it work for you?
Yeah. I think engine braking is probably the most important out of all the electronic stuff we deal with, especially on the V2 now. I know it makes decent torque, but it doesn't have enough horsepower to where you really need to be too focused on the TC and that side of things. But engine brake for sure on the V2, I think is going to be the main focus, and just trying to get that thing dialed in. Because if you can't get into a corner, it messes everything else up, messes the middle exit. So yeah, making sure that the bike's dialed getting into the corner, I think, is the most important.
Man, I'll tell you, Matthew Skoltz, my God, he used to talk about, I used to think his nickname was EB or his initials
Yeah,
were EB. He talked about EB, the EB all the
yeah,
time.
yeah. It is the most important thing though, for sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. And how much adjustability do you know? I mean, this is asking some technical questions, but how much adjustability is there on that V2 and Supersport? Not as much. You don't have the suite of stuff.
Yeah, I don't think so, but we'll
Right.
find out at the test. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
right. Right. And you're gonna be 45?
45, sticking with the same number. I thought about changing, new
Oh,
chapter. Like I thought about it, but um, I think I've made a name with 45
you
now.
have.
So yeah, and I enjoy the number. It's Colin Edwards. It was his number.
Yes.
So yeah, I
Just
think
just wait and
sticking
change it to the one.
Yeah. What
that's the goal.
well, what number would you have? I can't even think of what your number might have been
I
other
was
than
gonna
45.
be I was gonna be 16 or 72. So
Oh,
my
your
uncle
dad
Gary
was
was 72.
your
You
dad was
know,
16.
yes, yeah. So my
Yeah.
dad was 16 on the Marlboro bikes
Yeah.
and all of that. So I was gonna run 16. Um,
God,
but no,
72 is Larry Pegram.
yeah, and that's the only thing. It's like when I first came to America, I was gonna run 72, and then people were like, "Well, you're gonna be associated with Larry, and like he's always been 72." Like, and that's not saying anything bad about Larry. It's
No.
just like he's known as 72. Um, because yeah, my uncle Gary, he was 72 his whole career, and then when he passed, I wanted to kind of run it, and but yeah, 45 is the number.
That's good. And one, as Paul said. So
Yeah,
move up to
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Keep the fingers
Yeah.
crossed.
Well, okay. Maybe you can't tell us, or maybe you will. Is it a year or 2 years? You got 2 years with these
It's
guys?
just a 1 year deal for now.
Okay. Okay.
And then yeah, we'll just keep working on things throughout the year, and hopefully everything works out that I can be alongside Josh on the big bike for 26.
That'd
Yeah.
be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, are you
So,
finished, Sean?
Well, okay, one more real quick. Sorry. You worked with Chavi a little bit. So Chavi rode that bike. I
yes.
mean, Chavi.
Yeah.
You're gonna talk to him. We don't know what he's doing next year.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, Chubby sent me a message a couple days ago. Yeah, what an awesome human being that guy is.
He is.
Yeah, actually, I know he was talking to some world endurance teams, just trying to find something. I'm not too sure what his deal is. But yeah, actually, it would probably be a great idea to give Chavi a call and just see what he thinks about the thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be good. And then what was he like on the team? I mean, did he help you guys?
I mean, just an absolute stud of a human being. It's the only thing I can say. It's he definitely helped us, and what was nice is when he did come onto the team, he just kind of confirmed all the stuff that we were dealing with.
Yes.
Which was nice, especially a guy with his pedigree and all of his experience. But like at Coda, I was having my stomach issues and sick and stomach ulcers and stuff, and he was cooking me rice and making me rice, and like just such an
That's
awesome
nice.
human being,
Wow.
and extremely, extremely clued up with racing and what it takes and what the motorcycle likes. And yeah, I mean, I wish I could have spent more time with him, but with the 2 races we did, I learned a lot from him.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, he did that for Team Hammer too. I mean, Chris Ulrich told me that. He said, I'm going to find out when he raced for them, that I'm going to find out if it's the riders, the bike, or whatever, and what we need to do. And Chavi helped those guys too. So
Yeah.
I hope he does something. Wherever it is, we don't care, but it'd be nice to be with us somehow if he could do it. So
He deserves it.
He does.
He's still capable of winning on anything. So yeah, he deserves it.
Yeah,
He definitely deserves it.
And Cameron Petersen, you so deserve this. I mean, the hat, all of it.
The
I
hat.
appreciate it, Sean.
Nina deserves
Let's
it.
go.
Yeah, it's so good. You're an
Yeah.
awesome
No, I
guy.
appreciate it. Thank you.
We love you. All right.
All right,
I'm good,
guys.
Paul.
We'll see you at the test if I don't see you before, and just keep things safe.
Appreciate it, guys. Yeah, thanks
ya.
for chatting to me, and see you soon.
All right, bye, guys.